EVP, sing, come on. Yeah, that's the way I like it. Yeah, we gonna do it something like this. Drop it on the one, come on. Drop it on the one. Yeah, come on. Drop it on the one. Yeah, come on. Drop it on the one. Yeah, come on. Drop it on the one.
What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video. If you haven't already, check out my video essay on Ralph Tresvant's unreleased debut album, Living in a Dream. In that video, I discussed the details leading up to its creation, its influence on Don't Be Cruel, as well as the aftermath of the Heartbreak album into 1990. Speaking of 1990, did you know that Bobby Brown planned to release a follow-up album to Don't Be Cruel called Mystical Magic? Now, we all know that Bobby Brown reigned supreme over the entire music industry with songs like Every Little Step, Don't Be Cruel, My Prerogative, and On Our Own, to name a few. Even with megastars around at the time like Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, and Janet Jackson, Bobby Brown with just one album was a serious contender and a force to be reckoned with. In the footsteps of artists like Rick James, Bobby carried the torch and laid a new blueprint down for what's now called the bad boy image. With every dance step, vocal note, and woman being brought on stage, he raised the bar for what it means to be an all-around entertainer. Artists such as Usher, Chris Brown, Trey Songz have Bobby Brown to credit for what they've been able to do on stage without the fear of getting arrested. Bobby Brown was the artist that no one saw coming, and by the end of 1989 into 1990, it seemed that Don't Be Cruel was just the beginning. However, the apex of his career would ultimately be cut short. In this video, I'll be diving into the history leading up to Mystical Magic and what it could have been and what ended up becoming his follow-up album with 1992's Bobby. While you're here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's get into it. At the peak of New Edition's success in the early to mid 80s, it was industry tradition that the lead singer of the group go solo. However, amidst group tensions, Bobby Brown left the group and was offered his own record deal.
It was a dream always for me to be wanting to be solo. So, I took it in my own hands and went solo, and it feels good, The guys are behind me, I have a lot of people, pushing me, telling me I can do it. So, it's making me feel a lot better that everyone else is behind me instead of just be me and by myself. While I was with the group, we was on our tour, not the All for Love, but the fantasy tour. We had a fantasy tour, and we was on the tour, and it was like, I was feeling if I was to leave, it would hurt me more than anything, maybe it wouldn't work out, maybe it wouldn't do this. But the fellas told me, if that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I wanted to be a solo act. And if I don't work out, just come back.
Spawning what became his debut album that was released in 1986, King of Stage. The most popular songs on the album were the singles Girlfriend and Girl Next Door. However, what he would go on to do was reflected in songs like 17, Baby I Want to Tell You Something, Your Tender Romance, and the title track, King of Stage. Where Bobby shines the most is when he blends the genre of hip-hop, funk, and R&B. King of Stage in many ways was the musical prototype that would give Bobby the creative confidence going into his next album. It would also be some time before he actually grew into that moniker.
As we sing along and go, sing la 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 la. Can anybody talk in here? Anybody talking here? I guess can't no one sing. This big room of all musicians, music lovers, and ain't no one singing with me. I'm getting upset. I'm getting upset. You gonna say it for me? You gonna say it? You gonna say it? Say la 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 la. Say la 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 la. Well.
With the help of songwriters and producers L.A. Reid, Babyface, and Teddy Riley, he created Don't Be Cruel and spearheaded what ended up becoming the New Jack Swing era in music. Released on June 20th, 1988, it started a nationwide phenomenon that no one expected to happen. Along with that is when Bobby Brown's showmanship as a performer went to new heights, an energy that listeners and concertgoers couldn't resist. Each single released from the album were Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 hits, My Prerogative going number 1. Eventually selling a reported total amount of 12 million copies worldwide, his popularity even earned him a cameo in the Ghostbusters 2 film and a place on the soundtrack with On Our Own. I believe that the success of Don't Be Cruel was due largely in part to there being a void in the industry apart from the larger-than-life artists like Michael Jackson and Prince.
The way we planned it, it seemed like it was perfect because the people was waiting on another solo artist. I think they was, you know, not to say anything about you, Mike, but, you know, they was getting sick and tired of the Michael Jacksons and the Princes and all these different kind of images, I should say. You know, these people that, you know, make themselves up to be something that they're not. And I don't make myself up to be nothing. You know, I'm just me, and I'm a performer. And if people like performances, they, you know, come to see the show.
Bobby Brown was a more realistic figure that fans could relate to, and his sound was the first of its kind. As with albums like Thriller and Purple Rain, the pressure to deliver a follow-up that succeeds the first arise. An expectation that I'm sure Bobby Brown was no exception to.
And, you know, I'm just trying to stay busy. You know, I don't want people to just say, the album was out and he let it run that long and now he's just gonna sit back and enjoy himself. No, I want people to see that Bobby Brown is serious about what I'm doing. I mean, this business is rough. I mean, so many people come out every day with an album, and so many people are great entertainers that, you know, you have to stay up on your toes as far as what you have to do. And I know that, you know, I mean, there's so many people out there.
But wait a minute, Bobby Brown isn't afraid of competition, is he?
I'm not afraid of anything, you know, but it's the thing, they're out there. And, you know, in this business, you can't rely on tomorrow, you know, because no one knows what tomorrow has to offer.
Yeah.
So you have to, you know, work today and move forward with what you got to do that day and live by day-to-day things. And I just try to stay busy.
You know,
At the top of 1990, Bobby Brown was still at the top of the world and industry. However, it was at that time New Edition as a group took a hiatus, and each member began to release solo and group albums. The first being Belle Biv DeVoe's Poison, that was released on March 20th, 1990. BBD followed Bobby's blueprint of fusing hip-hop and R&B together and also straying away from New Edition's clean-cut image and sound, opting for a street, raunchy, and gritty image. Followed by Johnny Gill's self-titled album released a month later on April 17th, 1990 with up-tempo songs like Rub You the Right Way and the classic ballad My My My. Later on that year, Ralph Tresvant would release his long-overdue solo album on November 20th, 1990, and Sensitivity would fill the smooth stylistic void that BBD and Johnny Gill could not. With all that said, where would Bobby Brown have fit in amidst the New Edition members' takeover of music at the time? Even Ralph admitted there being pressure for him being the last to release a solo project after the success that Belle Biv DeVoe and Johnny were having. Needless to say about the most successful of the six being Bobby Brown. On September 6th, New Edition reunited at the MTV Video Music Awards, and just before they all shared the same stage together, performing their classic hits, Bobby Brown debuted an early version from Mystical Magic called Tap Into My Heart.
We've been together for so long. Don't you think it's time we ought to get it on, baby, don't you? Yeah, baby. Ain't you been the tears been cried away? Oh, my broken heart, fucking love you the way I do. Tap into my heart. Tell what I'm feeling. Tap into my love. Sound like I do. Tap into my soul. There's no ending, yeah. To the way that I love you. Tap into my heart. Yeah, yeah. Yo, posse, drop it on the floor. Here I go, ready to blow like a pro. A poster might pick it up like an afro. And you don't even have to ask the master to rip the wax, cut the grease, cut faster. So check the records, the stats in all the charts. See how many people got left in the dark. Cause I'm mystical, magical, people get hysterical. Thanks, I had a good time, but now I gotta go.
A sound that became more commonplace in music at that time, but one that only Bobby Brown, the originator, could take to the next level with his sharp dance moves and solid vocals. Given the aforementioned circumstances, I could only surmise that with the extensive tour schedule and other appearances associated with Don't Be Cruel that spanned most of 1988 and 1989, there wasn't any time to complete an album on par with Don't Be Cruel by early 1990, which makes sense given the massive success he achieved in such a short amount of time. Strategically speaking, in order for him to stay ahead of the music industry curve, Mystical Magic would have had to have been released between January and August of that year. In 1991, while on tour, Bobby still performed Tap Into My Heart live, this time with more lyrics and a concise sound.
Do that shit. that's always trying to bring me down. But all I gotta say is, tap into my heart. Tap into my heart. Do that shit. Tap into my heart, yeah. Oh, yeah, come on. I want you to do something. Bust it. Here I go, ready to flow like a pro. Approach the mic, pick it up like an afro. You don't even have to ask the master. Rip the wax, cause grease cuts faster. So check the records and stats it all the time. See how many people got left in the top. I'm mystical, magical, feel, lyrical. Thanks, I had a good time, but now I gotta go. Peace. Be Brown is out of here. Say yeah! Hey yo, stop this.
Following that, he started working on the follow-up album. However, the R&B pop sound at the time started to stray away from New Jack Swing and into a sound that relied less on groove and more on stronger vocals. Artists like Brian McKnight and Boyz II Men are a prime example of what R&B went on to be in later years. I believe that by 1991 into 1992, the sound of Mystical Magic would have been perceived as outdated given the aforementioned shift in music. Eventually, on August 25th, 1992, Bobby was released. Repeating the songwriting and production formula with L.A. Reid, Babyface, and Teddy Riley, he showed his artistic adjustment to the times.
I think it's a lot different from the Don't Be Cruel album. It's a lot more, it's a lot funkier. I think I'm singing a lot better on this album. I'm very picky when it comes to trying to make the best album I possibly can make. I was very picky with this one because this is a follow-up to Don't Be Cruel, which sold over 12 million albums. This album is just simply, it's just Bobby. You know, it's just 13 tracks of Bobby. You know, it's been a long time since I've been out there, and there's been a lot of different artists that's been out, you know. So, you know, in order to make myself different from everybody else, I just named it Bobby.
This time having more creative input and control over the music on the album. Humping Around, Get Away, Good Enough, and Something in Common are the tracks that come to mind when people think of the Bobby album. The songs that I believe could have been Mystical Magic outtakes were Till the End of Time, College Girl, Humping Around, and Storm Away. Taking special note to Humping Around, which to me is a sequel to My Prerogative in terms of the funk edge that listeners could come to expect from him at that time. With a stronger display of vocals than his predecessor, the musical continuity is apparent. College Girl has actually been a long-time favorite of mine from that album, and in my opinion would have fit very easily in on Don't Be Cruel. I would err on the presumptive side and say that it may have been recorded during the Mystical Magic sessions between 1989 and 1991 and was able to make the Bobby album. Till the End of Time not being released as a single is most likely due to it being reminiscent of that previous sound. It has a dance groove and a pop crossover appeal that I believe would have worked. In 1993, a track that I believe would have made a big impression was Drop It On the One by the B. Brown Posse. A similar sound like Tap Into My Heart, a perfect marriage of raps, rhythms, and a catchy chorus. In essence, Mystical Magic was shelved for timing reasons rather than anything else. Bobby is a classic album that, in the words of Terry Lewis, is right on time. A concise album that you can listen to from start to finish without skipping any tracks. Unfortunately, this was his last solo album of this caliber. What we never got in a true fourth album, we did get on New Edition's reunion album, Home Again. I hope you made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.